Hello Orchid friends, how are you? Welcome back to my channel. If this is your first time watching my video, my channel is all about orchids. From what orchids I have, how I grow them, my thoughts on certain orchid topics, to what orchids in my collection are blooming, etc. So if you want to follow along my orchid hobby adventure, please consider subscribing to my channel and turn on the notification. Today we're going to look at my Phalaenopsis bellina. I've had this orchid since 2 years ago, I think, and when I got it, it was still just a seedling. It was sold to me as a soon-to-be mature plant, but the seller never told me exactly how soon it would bloom. I just assumed that it's gonna take probably 2 years, and my guess was right. When I got it, it was a 3 or 4 leaf tiny little seedling, and at the time I was living in New York, so the root system wasn't really doing all that great. And after enduring the cold winter, one cold winter, I decided that I want to try a different method for the seedling that I had at the time. So I actually transferred it into a plastic cup without holes, and the media that I used for this orchid was sphagnum moss, and it is still currently in sphagnum moss in the same cup without holes, without drainage holes, and so far it's really liking it. And I think it had to do with the fact that orchid seedlings typically require a little bit more moisture than adult-sized mature plants. And by the way, if you're new to the orchid hobby, Phalaenopsis, there are many Phalaenopsis species, and this is one of the most popular species, I think. And there is also another species called Violacea. Bellina and Violacea are two of the most fragrant Phalaenopsis species, in my opinion, and their fragrances are pretty sweet, and to me they smell like cotton candy at times, but sometimes it just smells like something very, very sweet, like maple syrup, something really sweet. And there are many different varieties. I've seen bellinas with more pinkish spray or splash in the middle, but then I've also seen the cerulean variety or the indigo variety, and they're all very lovely. For the one that I have here, this is the bellina wild form, and the reason it's being called a wild form is because it looks like it's kind of dancing. It's that the sepals and petals are skinnier and longer compared to the regular bellina flower that's usually more rounded. This one, it looks like it's being wild, it's dancing, right? And in Asia, we actually call this a fire form, because the way that this flower is, it looks like the word fire in the Chinese language. So we actually call it the fire form bellina, which I found very interesting. But anyway, back to this bellina. I really like this plant because I've had it for 2 years, and it was a seedling, and now it's blooming for the very first time, and to me that's a success, right? That's a huge encouragement. And I mean, to be honest with you, this orchid originally wasn't doing so good. I was thinking, gosh, I bought this seedling, God knows when it'll bloom, and if I just mess it up, and I may never seeing it bloom. But somehow it pulled through. After I transferred it into the sphagnum moss media, I think it had more moisture throughout the time, and then after I moved to the southern area of the United States, the weather is warmer and the humidity is higher, and plus my current apartment has air conditioning, central air, so it's easier for me to control the temperature, whereas when I was back in New York City, there was no central air, and whatever the temperature was for the entire building, I had to deal with it. So it was much more difficult to control the environment of my grow space. So it's blooming, yay. for those of you who don't have one, I suggest you get one because it's actually not that hard with bellina. At first, when I was considering getting a bellina, I was thinking, oh, it's a species, it's probably very finicky, it's very hard to grow. These type of orchid species, maybe complex hybrid will be easier to get into, but no, this one actually doesn't require a whole lot of special care. It doesn't, I don't even think that I do anything special to it. And by the way, what you're seeing here, there is that one tiny leaf on top of the video there is that little weird clipping. That's just how it grew. I didn't even do anything to the leaf when it was growing that leaf. This was back in when I was in New York. But you know, that was just somehow the leaf just grow to be like that. But as you can see, the latest leaf is very big, very lush, very green, so it tells me that this orchid is happy. Right now you're seeing great root system throughout the media. There's only a little bit of sphagnum moss in the cup. It's pretty airy. And when I water this orchid, I wait until this orchid's media is completely dry. So when I use my finger to touch the media, the moss should feel dry and crispy. That's when I give this orchid a good soak. And typically that dry wet cycle in my environment is about a week. And for every other week in between, I do give it fertilizer, and I use quarter strength of recommended fertilizer. And occasionally, if I see that there is some slowness in root production, I may give it some liquid seaweed just to give it some extra stimulation to produce more roots. But right now, I think the roots are doing just fine, and the fact that it's blooming, I try not to give it too much fertilizer or liquid seaweed because it's in bloom, and I really just want to let it do its thing. And so far, I'm really happy with this orchid, and I'm really pleased by the fragrance that it put out, and I'm really just over the moon about the fact that yay, this bellina finally bloomed for me. This is all I have for you today. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, and if you would like to get more orchid related videos from my channel, please subscribe and turn on the notification. I want to wish you happy growing, and I will talk to you in my next video. Ciao!